aching ulcerations of the skin. And here, my prize, the Black Widow. Isn't she lovely and so deadly? Her kiss is 15 times as poisonous as that of the rattlesnake. You see, her venom is highly neurotoxic, which is to say that it attacks the central nervous system, causing intense pain, profuse sweating, difficulty in breathing, loss of consciousness, violent convulsions, and finally, death. You know, I think what I love the most about her is her inborn need to dominate, possess. In fact, immediately after the consummation of her marriage to the smaller and weaker male of the species, she kills and eats him. Oh, she is delicious. And I hope he was. Such power and dignity, unhampered by sentiment. If I may put forward a slice of personal philosophy, I feel that man has ruled this world as a stumbling, demented child king long enough. And as his empire crumbles, my precious Black Widow shall rise as his most fitting successor.
All right, we are back. That was Devil's Food and the prologue, I guess you'd say, to the Black Widow. Needless to say, the Black Widow, we will play that next episode. We couldn't do a build-up like that and leave it hanging, right?
That was the last show Alice Cooper did in Rhode Island was the Welcome to the Nightmare tour. That was the last time he stopped by the Providence Civic Center.
Way back then?
Yep.
Well, I know, no, it wasn't the last one he did in Rhode Island, because I know I went to see him on the Special Forces tour at the Providence Performing Arts Center. But, yeah, you're right. The last Civic Center, Dunk, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, the Dunk Center. Yeah, the last time it was in that arena, yes, the Welcome to My Nightmare tour. Because, well, and the reason for that, that's how many does that seat? Is that what, 12,000, 14,000, something like that?
Quite a bit, but now he's doing, with the exception of the Motley Crue tour, if he performs by himself, he tends to do smaller venues.
Right.
And it's not because he can't fill them, because he still can. But he's always hitting. He was doing Foxwoods for a while, but now he does Mohegan, probably because you can't set more people there. But he likes the smaller venue places. Don't know why. Maybe he likes to be close in with his fans or whatnot and get a better show.
Well, I think two reasons. That's one good reason. The other one is that performers these days, because, and a lot of fans don't want to believe this, but the music business today, touring is expensive. So even though Alice Cooper could fill more seats than, say, the arena at Mohegan, it's not a guarantee in every town. So not just Alice Cooper, but a lot of artists are choosing to play smaller venues, to be on the safe side.
And the weird thing, he doesn't charge a lot for his tickets by himself. If he's by himself, you're lucky if the tickets are $75. Recently, is the most expensive one was going to see him with Iron Maiden until now, for some reason, the Cooper Crew concert, it went up this year. Mm-hmm. Last year it wasn't as bad, but this year it did. But he's usually pretty cheap when you go to catch him, and a good show, by the way.
No, but the ticket prices are just, when we say $75, I don't know how much of a scalping problem there is with Alice Cooper. I know for Motley Crue there's a bigger scalping problem. Or, as we say politely, ticket brokering. So a lot of bands like Motley, and the bands themselves aren't exactly in favor of it. But yeah, there's some bands more than others that ticket brokering, ticket scalping is a problem. So I don't know how much, if Alice Cooper on his own, how much it's $75, but how much do you really pay for a ticket if you want up close to Alice Cooper?
I have never been able to get up close. It's because one of the reasons is the casinos have first dibs on those tickets. So if you were part of those tribes, they get them first.
Gotcha. This for the what do you say? The high rollers, the casino.
The only time
patrons.
I got up and close was when he was playing with Manson, and we paid for the floor seat. Mm. And the only reason we got up and close because two chicks got into a fight and got pulled out of there, and we slid right into the spot. So I had great entertainment, chick fighting, and then Alice Cooper on stage. But that's the only reason I got up close. But usually those spots are filled up way before I can get to those tickets. And scalping, as a little thing is that is how I saw my first Alice Cooper concert, because I didn't know that if you didn't pre-order tickets, the chances of you seeing the show were slim and none. This was my first time doing this, and I went down there in a rage, and some dude in a scalping ticket sold me his ticket, sold Mr. Jones a copy and POD, and we all sat in different areas. Tony sat down, a young, tender age, at the seating with the tables. This is long ago at Foxwoods, drinking to his heart consent. I sat up with a bunch of middle-aged folks getting high off of fumes from pot and drinking. And POD sat up in the top balcony getting hit on by a dude drinking and being given casino tickets.
Yeah, there's really no good way to do away with this ticket brokering, scalping situation. There's really not. I mean, a lot of bands have really tried. And sometimes the solution is worse than the problem. I mean, I remember once as a youngster, I wanted to see the Rolling Stones. I figured that's something every, person even remotely in love with music should do before they die. So I went to see the Rolling Stones on the Voodoo Lounge tour many years ago. And the way they handled the situation was you got all the tickets. The tickets were sold through Ticketmaster. May they, burn in one of the blue corners of Cenobite-infested hell. Because the way they did it was they gave you tickets at random. Now, I think there was, I don't remember exactly, I think there were 2 Rolling Stones shows for sale, when I was in line. Waited in the line, to talk to this Ticketmaster person and get tickets. The second of the shows, they sold out completely with me about 3 people to go before the window. They announced at that moment that they were adding a 3rd show, brand new show. Here I am, me and whoever was around me, 3 people back in line. Now, logic says that, right, when we got to the window, what should we have been able to get? Right? Ticketmaster thought differently. They issued them at random. So I ended up, 3rd person in line, I ended up about halfway, and it wasn't bad. I did not complain when I heard what happened to the woman in front of me. But yeah, I ended up about halfway back at Gillette Stadium. I think it was called Sullivan Stadium then, but Gillette Stadium, halfway back, which actually is a good place to watch a Rolling Stones show from because they have such a big stage. They basically utilize the whole end of the arena. So actually, I had really good seats. The woman in front of me, second in line, and I don't know anybody that's ever been to Gillette Stadium for a concert or a football game. The 300 section is not good.
Behind a column, right?
I don't know if there's any columns up where she was sitting, up where she was going to sit. But I think it was 300. I think that's how they numbered it then.
I would have been pissed.
It was the last picture the foot. Even you non-football fans, picture a football-sized stadium. The other end of the stadium from the stage, go all the way up until you're sitting at the top row with your back to the fence to prevent you from jumping off. And this is where this woman got her seat. 2 people back in line from Ticketmaster, whatever it was. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I appreciated my halfway back seat. Believe me. But yeah, there's really nothing. I think Bruce Springsteen tried he tried a couple of things. I think it was not pre-announcing the day. Nowadays that would be impossible. With social media, you couldn't do it at all. But I think he tried not pre-announcing the date of the ticket sales and just throwing them out, just at random, sell them without any previous announcement. I think he did that, and I think he tried charging the same price for all the tickets, whether it was front row or back row. A lot of bands have tried a lot of things. It's the marketplace. It can't, money talks, I guess. Let's see, Tony, how far are we in here?
You got about a minute.
A minute. Okay, is that a minute of bulk talking or a minute of everything?
What great philosophical thing can you say in a minute?
Okay, in a minute, I can probably thank everybody for listening. There will be no philosophy. Chuckles, thank you.
Thank you once again.
Tony Jones, thank you for doing such a good job.
Email can you get in a minute?
I don't know.
Don't. My thing's about to burn up.
All right, Tony Jones just asked me how much more hate mail I can conjure up in a minute, and I've decided not to even try. I mean, we've been under, the evil karma that's descending on this studio as we speak is enough for 1 week. Even I'm willing to admit that. I don't know. So I guess what we'll do is let's try to leave. Well, we're not getting away from the Satanism, but hopefully the Melvins won't conjure up too much hate mail, right? All right, let's go with the Melvins, Night Goat, closing out this issue of the Haunted Cabaret on Rhode Island Free Radio. Nighty night.